Hello, my name is Father James Kelleher, and I'm a priest in the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity. And I'm the founder and director of the Eucharistic Family Rosary Crusade. I do Rosary Crusades all over the United States, England, Ireland, and Central America. And today I'd like to talk to you about a great Marian Eucharistic saint, Saint John Bosco, also known as Don Bosco. And I'd like to tell you about one of his most famous dreams. It came towards the end of his life. And this is called the dream or the prophecy of the two columns. Well, he found himself on a cliff overlooking the sea. And in the sea there were two armadas. One was the armada of the Pope. The other was the armada of the evil one. And so he saw the Pope's ship, and guiding the Pope's ship was the Pope himself. And so he had a few boats surrounding him that were trying to protect his ship. And then all the other enemy ships were surrounding them, trying to attack. In front of the Pope were two columns in the sea. The first column, which was a shorter column, had on top of it a statue of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And it had a little sign at the base that said, "Help of Christians." The second larger column had on top of it a large consecrated host, and underneath it the inscription, "Salvation of Believers." Now, what did Don Bosco see happen next? Well, the Pope was in his ship, the bark of Peter, and he was trying to get to where he could be going between the two columns. He was on the path for that. And the enemy ships were attacking with all kinds of cannon and firearms and everything. And they kept bombing the Pope's ship, and occasionally there'd be a gaping hole in the ship. But then there would be a breeze from the two columns that would heal the hole in the ship. Well, as the battle raged on, then the Pope fell, hit by enemy fire. And then he got hit again and he died. And the enemy began to rejoice. But a new Pope took his place because the people in the Pope's assisting ships elected a new Pope immediately. So a new Pope stepped in to the bark of Peter and guided the ship right between the two columns. On one side, the Immaculate Virgin Mary, on the other side, the consecrated host. And he was able to tie up to the two columns. Suddenly, all the enemy ships began to get confused, and they began to actually knock each other out. And in a short period of time, the enemy was destroyed. And the bark of Peter was safely moored to the column of the Eucharist and the column of the Immaculate Virgin Mary. This prophetic dream points to the end times, points perhaps to the third millennium, where there are enemies of the church that are attacking the church vociferously. They want to destroy the church. They want to totally dismember the church. But the Holy Father guides us in between the two columns of the Most Holy Eucharist and of the Immaculate Virgin Mary. And as the church stays moored to these two columns, the church will remain safe. And so you and I, we must stay close to Jesus in the Eucharist. We must practice frequent communion. We must give everything in our life to Jesus and let him direct us. And at the same time, turn to Mother Mary through the Rosary and ask her to pray with us to Jesus, so that despite all these attacks we find ourselves undergoing in a very secular society, all these attacks we find in a society that has rejected the Ten Commandments, we can still be at peace. We can still do the works of God. And we will not only survive, but we will move forward, because our Eucharistic Lord is protecting us. Our Eucharistic Lord is guiding us. Our Eucharistic Lord is healing us. Our Eucharistic Lord is empowering us to walk right through and overcome the powers of Satan. So I just want to encourage each one of you to stay faithful to your daily rosary, to stay faithful to receiving Jesus in the Eucharist as often as you can, and to sign up or continue during your weekly hour of Eucharistic adoration. Ave Maria.